Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Jump Up Supercast Game Club. I am your host, the mystical ninja himself, Brandon, and joining me today is my right-hand man, who isn't afraid to strip down and shrink himself for a free meal, Will.
Ganbare.
Also joining me today, I got the high-flying, jumping, action-packed robot ninja, Ills.
That sounds almost right.
And then finally, I got the man of many fortunes, the one and only Mr. Plasma himself, Noah.
Plasma!
Oh no.
I had to get that one right after.
You knew it was gonna happen. Right?
Oh no. I was so ready for Yabe, and so we got Plasma.
We don't have
Well,
a yay.
you know,
apparently.
that was going to be Saf, but unfortunately, Saf couldn't make it today.
That is unfortunate.
He died on the way back to his home planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's where my brain went to.
but yeah, he'll be back next week, maybe. Who knows? But yeah,
We'll see.
We'll see. Who knows what the future's going to hold? But I do know that this week we played Mystical Ninja, starring Goemon. And contrary to popular belief, no, this game is not about Billboard chart-topping hip-hop artist Mystical dressed up as a ninja. It's about a young kabuki named Goemon. So this game was released all the way back in 1997 on the Nintendo 64 in Japan, and then 98 in North America and Europe. It was developed by Konami, and also published by Konami, back when Konami didn't suck.
When they made video games.
Yeah. Look out for the
Goemon
Mystical
Pachinko.
Ninja. Yeah, I was just gonna say, look out for the Mystical Ninja Pachinko machine. I'm sure it exists, but
Yeah.
this is back when they used to make video games. Will,
Yeah, dude.
my friend, you picked this game.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell everybody why this game in particular you decided to make us play this week?
So, 3 reasons. I mentioned one on the last Game Club. Go listen to it. Which is just, I saw the theme the other day and I thought, man, this theme's pretty crazy. But it reminded me, because I've always been interested in the Goemon games. I had heard about them in various instances. Turns out there's a ton of them. We only got a couple.
Yes.
I
think we got like 4.
We got 4 of 21 total
damn.
mainline.
Wow.
But I'm also just interested in like the early 3D games, because you know there's so many different people that are figuring stuff out, like how do we make video games work with the Z-axis. And Goemon, I learned when I looked it up, was before Ocarina of Time. So I thought, how do they do an adventure game before sort of what was the template for like games in this style was sort of made. And I wanted to see how they went about it, because sometimes you'll find weird little, ambition in these early types of 3D games that I like to look back at.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. That is really always something that interests me too, because you see really bad examples like Bubsy 3D, and you see really good examples like Super Mario 64, and it's always interesting to go back and see, because it was like really brand new. Definitely like developers were really trying hard to figure out exactly how do we make video games 3D. So
yeah, it was the Wild West a little bit, and especially when you were like adapting a pre-established series.
Yeah.
So I knew this is the 12th one in the entire series, so like clearly they had a history they were building off of, and it's like, how did they adapt it? And I think in general, we could talk about it more in detail. I think they did a pretty good job, especially in comparison to others at the time.
Yes, I can say I agree with that. Basically. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I remember this game. Like, I was one of the, I don't know if few is the right word, but I was one of the few people who like saw this when it was out. Like, my friends had a copy of this game, and I was always like confused as to why he had a golden pipe. And like, who was this character? Like, I never saw them play it. I just knew they had it, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? So this is weird to like get a chance to finally, connect with that side of things.
And now you play the game and you say, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, well, nothing's really changed.
Yeah. This game is the most Japanese game out there.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I feel like it's so much like Okami, but way before Okami, because Okami is like super Japanese, and this is super Japanese.
Yeah, no, this is like extreme super Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, because people hear like Japanese, they'll think like, is it like just super anime? Is it super just weird, right? But like, no, like it's extremely like the culture of Japan, like the history of it is referenced. Like Goemon, Sasuke, and Ebisumaru, who are 3 of the 4 playable characters, are based off folk heroes. Like,
Yeah, and they're all like shinobis, and you're literally traveling across Japan.
It's actually Japan.
Everything is Japanese themed.
Yeah.
All the health items are Japanese foods. All the armors are based on like armor, like from the what era, whatever it's called era. I forgot. Shit.
It was funny because they give you the map of Japan, right? And I was like, are they being cheeky? And then it zooms out and it's a very low poly 3D model of like just straight up Japan. And I was like, well, okay, all right, we're going on the adventure.
You go to Mount Fuji.
That's the first area you go to.
Yeah,
just
you
get
go
it
to
out of the
an
way.
actual landmark. Like, it's crazy. I mean, the game, crazy is just the best way to describe everything going on in this game.
But in the best way, though.
Yeah. It doesn't take itself serious at all. Right? Because the game, it has, you're Goemon, and you're fighting this, like, Shogun musical theater group that are trying to turn everything into, like, a theater, basically.
Yes.
It just, a giant UFO shoots a beam at a castle, and an old school Japanese castle turns it into a theater. Like,
yeah.
It's
at first,
ridiculous.
the very first like character that you talk to, the little girl outside your house, is like, oh, it turned into a European castle. If the beam hits me, will I turn into a model EU citizen? And I was like, oh no, is this game story going to be about like Japanese isolationism? Like, because I don't want to have that conversation on this podcast.
Yeah, as soon as that happened, I was like getting ready for it already. It was like,
I was like, oh no. But then like it doesn't really touch on that ever again. Like it's just straight up like, no, you think like, oh, maybe they're like trying to brainwash people. No, they just want the whole world to literally be their stage. That's all that they want, which is pretty good.
Including a musical number in the form of a cutscene, which is, you have to see it to believe it.
Yes.
you have to see everything to believe everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
And then you go on and like fight mech battles, and you have like the cutscene, like an intro to Power Rangers or something, like the transformation sequence in it.
With vocals. You know what I love about that little sequence? The song doesn't break when it goes from the cutscene to the gameplay. I imagine that was actually pretty hard to do because they're doing loading in between, and the music doesn't interrupt. And I was like, hey,
it
you
is
did that
really
little
cool.
trick there.
Yeah, how you go from the transformation right into rollerblading, and which is just an insane sequence because you're just controlling a giant robot who's rollerblading and just smashing into everything. There's barely any strategy. I don't even know if you can lose.
No, I mean, you can't lose.
I think it depends how well you do is how much health you would have during the boss fight.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is. That's what I actually thought, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we should probably say what the actual, like, general gameplay is.
Right.
Which is that, I mean, Ills actually makes a pretty fair, like, comparison when we were talking about it beforehand, which is that it's almost like a weird midpoint of Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time in some ways. Like, it's an adventure game, there are dungeons, there's all that other stuff, but you have a jump button that you use very often. There's a lot of platforming you do in the dungeons, but it's not punishing. There's not a ton of like bottomless pits throughout the game. There's a few here and there, but it has the Zelda elements of picking up new abilities along the way. These 3 pick up, instead of heart pieces, it's lucky cats, and if you get 4 you get an extra heart. All that stuff, and you're trying to stop the Danson is the main villain's name, and Kitty Lily, who's his like partner in crime, and they are, like we said, trying to turn the world into a stage from a giant peach-shaped fortress in the sky in space, and you have to collect these 4 mystical objects to be able to go to space, and then do it all.
Have a nice robot battle up in outer space.
Of course, as you will.
So yeah, I was just gonna say, I was thinking about this like when you get to the dungeons, that's like, it feels like Zelda-ish in the fact that there's like dungeons at all, and there's very minor problem solving, but like
barely.
When you're in the dungeons is where the majority of the platforming comes into play. I feel like that's like the main puzzle mechanic, I guess, mechanic of that you have to get over. That's where any kind of difficulty comes in, is really just the platforming.
Yeah,
the
'cause
battles
you see
are
it
very simple.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the platform itself isn't bad, but it's the fact that you can't control the fucking camera. Like literally, there's no button that can center or control the camera at all, and that annoyed me the fuck. And I was in dungeons.
What the C button?
Like in the overworld, it's fine because it like if you just stand still for a while, the camera will try to get behind the character. But in the dungeons, because it's like enclosed and indoors, sometimes the camera can't get behind you, gets stuck on the wall, and you're just like, well, I can't see where I'm going. Literally,
It's one of those
what the
weird
fuck?
like cameras that are like it's actually like a piece of the environment where like it gets stuck on
collide
stuff.
with stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
like I showed Brandon at one point, it got stuck outside like a cage, and I couldn't see anything. I showed him, it was just glitching the fuck out.
But because the thing is, Mario 64 solved that by the C buttons are the camera. That's what I call
But
it.
didn't
The
Mario
C
64 come before Goemon?
It did, but the thing is, the Goemon assigned all the C buttons to like a ton of different abilities, right? Because there's like you're
It
swapping
didn't use L for
characters.
anything. It could have used that for a camera button.
Yeah, it's like I get why they did, like why they made this decision, but there's still, especially now going back to it, there are moments where the camera is a problem, and you sort of have to like slow down your pace a little bit because the camera, if you stand still, will center behind you. It'll try to at least. And so like, basically you finish a jump and you're like, what's the next platforms? Let me stop for a second and look so I can get the camera fully behind me and then keep platforming. So it can be a little stop and start because of that.
Yeah, and it's problematic.
But, I mean,
was just
the
gonna
stuff
say.
that they did use the C buttons for, I think, are cool. Like all the character swapping and then the different abilities that everyone gets along the
I
way.
agree.
I enjoyed.
The camera control is
So you
problematic.
play as
but
the four
The thing
people,
I
right?
think that's to the game's credit is that they never really put they never make you do those actions very fast. So like even if the camera gets stuck or something, it's not like you're in a super tense situation where you need to know exactly where you're going right away. You can always take the time to find the way forward again.
That's true.
To
The game
recenter
doesn't
the
really
camera.
require you to have like blistering platform skills that are extremely precise. Most of it is fairly simple, and it doesn't. I don't think the camera isn't that much of a hindrance most of the time. It does get a little bit annoying, but I think they could have just fixed it by making just press Z to center it behind you, but it's not the end of the world. There's a couple times where I was like, this camera sucks, but it was only for like maybe a minute or two. And
Yeah, I just meant like the pace of the game. It's never like too demanding.
Right, exactly. It was good because the camera, if it was more demanding, you would need a camera that was more
and that would
precise.
just lead to like a shitload of frustration. So
Yeah,
that's why I
luckily
didn't
there's
feel
not a
like
lot
it
of
was. That's why I didn't feel like it was too big of a problem.
I guess it's worth mentioning because what we said, there's 12. This is like the 12th game in the series, right? So there's a bunch of previous stuff they were building off of, but this is the first one I think that had like active swapping between characters, which is cool. Because I mean, before, at least the ones that I was aware of, which is just the Super Nintendo one, you were Goemon or Ebisumaru, which in that game he was called Dr. Yang. But like you could pick them and you could swap, I think, in like ends, but you couldn't swap on the fly. But now you have 4 different characters. There's Goemon, who is based off of a famous kabuki guy. He looks like a kabuki theater dude.
Yeah.
Ebisumaru, who's the thief. He's like, I looked this up. He's based off the most famous thief, I think, in Japan. Like he's sort of, he's a big deal. He got away with like 100 different, stealing from 100 different samurai estates before he got caught, and then he got hung and dragged. His corpse got dragged among like through a bunch of towns.
Wow.
So, doesn't happen to Ebisumaru in this game, thankfully. He's just kind of a creepy pervert guy who's also very good and can become tiny. Yae, who is a cool... She's green hair girl. She's the only one that's not based off anyone. And then Sasuke, who I learned this. The reason that so many ninja are named Sasuke is because like he's the first ninja story where like the ninja's the good guy. Is about a guy named... Sasuke Sarutobi, and so like because of that, that's why like in Naruto a guy's named Sasuke. In this game, he's named Sasuke.
And
he's
there's
cool
a guy
robot
named
guy.
Sarutobi.
Yeah.
In Naruto.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those, and they all have different abilities, like we mentioned. Ebisumaru can shrink. Yae can turn into a mermaid.
Yeah.
And they all have different stuff.
Sasuke can super jump, and then Goemon can turn into an actual fucking Super Saiyan.
It's very good. When he first transformed, I laughed very hard. I was like, these madmen, they did it.
I will say,
Yeah.
one of the frustrating parts of this game that actually made me frustrated was the mini game to be able to get that transformation.
Oh yeah, that was kind of a
was-
bitch.
Yeah, every transformation you have to do a little mini game, and this one had you just standing in the middle of a room with these, I don't even know what to call
Boxes.
them. Big,
Billiard? No, that's
Big-
a different thing. Sorry.
Oh, the metal
Mr.
box.
Saturn
Yeah,
looking men.
the metal boxes. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
you
you
had
had-
difficulty there? I literally just like pressed right and shot 2 boxes and just kept doing the same thing for like a minute straight. I did not have struggle at
difficulty
all.
because I thought you could just throw one and he would go down.
Yeah.
Found out that is not true. I think you had to hit him like 3 times.
You gotta be hit,
No, I just-
hit him all the time.
Yeah. It depends on the speed of the head. Yeah.
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 Usually had to throw at least 2.
Yeah. I liked Ebisamaris, though, where he's hiding in the fridge trying to steal food.
Yeah, that was
good.
funny.
That was really
I did
good.
like that.
I
That
like
was
that
funny.
one. I didn't like Sasuke's very much. That was kind of a fucking
You had
annoying.
to like climb a tree or something. Or climb
Yeah,
a big
but-
tower.
Oh yeah,
But for,
That was annoying.
at some points, like his hair got stuck on the ceiling, so I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, I was like so confused because some jumps like the game just wouldn't let you do. So,
Weird.
Whatever.
Yeah, but I think that overall, I mean, it's maybe some people might have annoyances with like having to swap to do the different abilities, but I think it's neat that, like, I mean, they're all Goemon is sort of the most basic of all of them because they sort of just gave him the moveset he's had since the beginning, you know, like, and then all the other ones are where they sort of get a little bit more wild with it.
Yeah, they each have like 2 weapons basically
Yeah,
too that they can swap between. Which
Yeah.
I think worked well. I actually enjoyed that. How there's a lot of different like gameplay, just elements that were introduced with all these different items. You don't have to use them all a ton, which I think was nice. But it was just enough to add a little bit of variety in there.
I really liked the towns. I mean, like they're not like crazy by today's standards, but they're surprisingly big, and there's a lot of NPCs that are running around and like being really dynamic. You know, like even in that first town, there's that one guy who's a bandit who steals from you, and you like chase after him and smack him to get your money back.
Yeah.
And like, and that's also where a lot of they have a lot of fun, goofy dialogue. It's sort of like Earthbound in that like I never felt too bad going up and just like talking to everyone. Which is
Yeah.
good because, I mean, the game tells you at the start, like, talk to people to learn where to go.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
also
like-
are very helpful telling you what to do next.
Yeah.
And they change throughout the game too. The same characters will say something different depending on where in the game you are.
Yeah. And I kind of like that, like, because this is, they did basically a Goemon game every year from 1989 to 2001. So, like, just churning them out. Like, they don't make the stakes, like, they keep it light. They're never like, the world's gonna end. Because, like, the bad guys are goofy the entire time. Your cast is goofy the entire time. Like, the ending itself is pretty goofy. Like, it never takes itself too seriously. I love that when they do
the one point of the game, literally like a quarter of the island just gets picked off and like floats into space.
Yes.
It's like what?
Well, they never like act as though that's like a huge life-threatening thing, right? They like they're immediately joking about that.
In fact, there's laugh tracks while the character's dialogue
Oh,
is
yeah.
on the screen.
Yes.
Even if it wasn't actually a joke, they still hear laugh tracks. It's
Yes.
that got
Just like Big
tiring
Bang
fast.
Theory.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The laugh tracks. It's funny. I would sometimes laugh at the laugh tracks without laughing at the actual joke. I'm just
Yeah,
like, why would
same.
they put that there? This is so
Yeah.
dumb. But I mean, I also like that it made me laugh that the performances, like they're good performers. The bad guys are, so people like their musicals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when you beat them, they're like, those were good shows. Why do you? We hate you. Like you're just some weirdos who came in town and beat up these performers that we like. Which
Yeah,
is
it was actually really funny to me. The crowd of girls like running towards Goemon and Ibisamaru, and they're both just kind of like, oh yeah, here come our fans. This is gonna be great. And then the closer they get, the more they realize, oh wait, these girls look real mad. Oh shit. It's good stuff.
yeah, it's a good bit. But yeah,
They see the thing with this game that surprises me the most, I think, more than anything, was the fact that we got this game. I think
Yeah.
It's so Japanese to the point where today it wouldn't really surprise me that much if we got this game in 2019.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that surprising. But for 1998, for us to get this game like 20 years ago, it really does surprise me that they even bothered localizing it. I'm glad they did because we got to play it. But yeah, it's a shocker.
I mean, it's kind of weird because like the Goemon was never like the biggest seller in Japan, but it always did consistently well. It's sort of like Yakuza in that way. But like, you know, it always had problems coming to the West because it is so deeply Japanese, sort of like Yakuza, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think I kind of respect them for giving the college try. I mean, like we were looking up stuff for the thumbnail, Brandon, and you posted the cover to like Konami Crazy Carters and which is like a Game Boy game where it's all the Konami characters. And like Goemon's up front, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, why would he be the like front character for this? And then you read about it and you're like, oh, you could see why. Like he was sort of like a rock that they had for a very long time of like, you know, every year it would come out, do pretty well, and they would make another. But they stopped after like 2005.
Goemon only sold 55,000 in America.
Really fast. An interesting little thing.
Shit.
The team that made Goemon. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like if they remade this game, like it would be perfect for right now because this game is really, really good. But like it was just not. It was ahead of its time, you know, back then. Like I think we weren't ready for it apparently.
Yeah.
Definitely not. And I think it got good reviews when it came out too. You know, people were like, "This is a good game," like publications and everything. But it was, I think, just too weird at the time.
Yeah.
For some people. I mean, there's an entire dungeon that's just based off of like Japanese food.
That's a good dungeon, though. I love that dungeon.
I think it's my favorite one, but
it is.
You know,
yeah.
You play it and you're like, this is the most Japanese thing ever.
Yeah. All the dungeons were really good. Like they were longer than I expected them to be, but they never felt like they dragged on. Like
no, I liked that. It was my favorite part of the game.
Yeah, they all felt really good.
I think it's really interesting too, because like because they did like a yearly thing, like we mentioned for a while, right? But like they sort of had this formula they could like pull from the previous games, but they could have done that, but they got really wild with it. You know, like we say it's crazy, but like also, you know, they did a bunch of stuff that only works in 3D. You know. Like the impact bosses, for example. Like you cannot do the impact segments. You know, they might have some issues that we have with them, but like that whole thing of that whole sequence into the running into the boss fight, like that's the thing that they said, hey, we have this new thing available to us. Let's give it a shot and like do this crazy, you know, giant mech fight in a video game. And I think that's really cool. I think it still is cool in 2019 to look at it.
Yeah, they were super ambitious. I mean, like, just the variety of situations they put you in, like, you know, the mech battles, of course, and you get to do that multiple times, and those are really cool. Especially like after you learn the actual controls, because they don't really tell you.
Yeah, once you actually know you can use the grappling hook, it makes things so much better.
Yeah,
yes.
Once you know the controls, it's actually really fun.
Yeah.
And other than that, you know, like climbing the dragon and all the, you know,
that part was dumb. Like I hated that part.
No.
Like I like the concept of climbing the dragon and getting there, but because of bad camera and it's like fucking such a hard platform to stay on, I just kept falling off because of the wind.
I didn't fall once. I don't know.
I actually, so the entire game, I will say, I never, I died in a robot battle on the first time I did it. But other than that, like in the regular platforming sections and the rest of the game, I didn't die one time.
Yeah, the first mech battle, yeah.
I died once because in the first dungeon, the thing that squishes you is a one-hit kill. But I didn't.
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't find another one until I didn't find tons of one-hit kills after that. So it's very funny that it's just sort of there.
What thing that squishes you?
It's the platforms that are above you. They look sort of like a mochi press almost, and like you walk under it, and you have to bait one to fall down so you can jump on top of it to get a key.
Yep.
I know.
But I went and
okay.
I didn't move out of the way in time, so it hit me, and it's a one-hit kill.
I didn't know that was a one-hit kill. Shit.
Yeah.
I think it's worth pointing out that because this game is so Japanese, they did have to change some things when they brought it over, including the wise man, who mentions at one point he collects automotive magazines.
Let me guess. He collects. Let me guess. He collects
Not a hard
panties.
He collects
Porno
hentai. Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
It's the nasty, the pervert old man character.
It's Japanese.
Tried and true. Master Roshi, you did it. Yeah, that's good. Also,
Man
I guess
with 1,000 faces.
it's true. I think if we're talking about little behind the scenes stuff, I think it's neat that like what the people went on to do that worked on this game.
Yeah, you mentioned this to me, I think, like last week.
Yeah,
It's
which
actually
is
really interesting.
almost all the Goemon team, after they stopped making Goemon games in 2005, got picked up by Nintendo and started working on a company you may have heard of called Goodfeel Incorporated.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, they did Kirby's Epic Yarn, they did Yarn Yoshi, they did Wario Land Shake It, and the
they're
guy,
good.
yeah, all of them are good. And also the guy who worked on, one of the two people that worked on the Impact bosses, ended up working in Bowser's Inside Story, where there's the giant Bowser fights in that game. He worked on those, and because I guess they said, hey, you know how to work on these giant
We've seen your work before.
mech fights. Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's cool that a lot of them still have work now.
Getting that paper.
It is really cool, especially since, from what I heard, Goemon's Great Adventure, the other N64 Goemon game, is a pretty solid platformer. So maybe I've never played it. I definitely want to now. I've heard it's really good, and maybe that attests to some of their other platforming games like Yoshi, Kirby, Wario. Those are really solid games. Mm-hmm. And
Also,
you mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
I also really like just the Japanese game name for this game, which is, if you translate it, is "Go for it, Goemon! Dance of the Neo Peach Mountains Shogunate." And you're like, yep, that sounds extremely like they could have done that 1-to-1 and it would be an episode of Pokemon. Like you can hear the announcer say it.
Or just an anime title, just like
it's
for an
very funny.
episode. One thing you mentioned too, I guess earlier when we were talking about how different team members went to work on different games is we weren't sure, like the composer, I think you said, for the music.
Sorry, what was that?
Because one of the things I loved most about this game was the music too. I absolutely loved it. I was just, as I got further in the game, I just kept thinking, okay, well, this song is real good. It's probably the best song in the game. And boom, okay, now, oh no, might be the best song in the game. It's just constantly like, I found myself humming the tunes to this game, for the next week, just in the shower and at work and stuff. Just gets the song stuck in my head. They're really good.
I kept singing Ganbare over and over in my head. The main intro theme.
That's a very good song. very 90s anime.
Extremely.
Yeah, it had some good tracks. I liked it.
It's sad. That's the one thing that like I looked up the composers for, and like they're the only people that I can't find anything else after. They seem like they only worked on Goemon and then they sort of stopped, which is kind of a bummer. But I mean, they worked on Goemon for like 10 years, so I guess they put their time in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Kind of want to play the other Goemon games now, though, just to see.
We've got 20 more to go. So
20.
Well, maybe just the ones that were released in North America.
Yeah. So like 3. One of which is a
3.
Game Boy game.
Yeah. Also called Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. Same exact game.
That's confusing.
And it came out in the same time frame.
What?
That was that era.
Yeah. Where exactly. There would be a Game Boy version and a console version, but the Game Boy version was like completely different. So
Yeah,
you
different
couldn't-
development studio.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't really call them the same thing, but they did just because. Like Perfect Dark.
That's not great.
Yeah.
Like, what are you playing? Perfect Dark. Oh man, that's a sweet N64 game. Nah, dog, I'm playing it on the Game Boy Color. With
That's
a Rumble Pack.
Oh baby. Oh, that's crazy. By the way, the game, the Goemon. I mean, blessed that we didn't have to do this. I think it came with the memory pack on its first run, at least. But if you didn't have the memory pack, bad luck, buddy. Because no
Could
saves.
not save the game.
Could not
No,
save
you
that video
couldn't.
game.
How
You
are
could,
supposed to beat
the
this
game would save the progress if you got game over, I guess, and you
Mm-hmm.
could continue if you went back to the main menu. But if you shut the game off, it would warn you, say, shut the game off or hit reset. You will not have your saved data.
Yeah. Which is funny. Also, that like the Rumble pack, it had Rumble in the game, but nowhere it doesn't mention the instruction booklet. Doesn't mention it in the game. You just have to plug it in and then in certain scenes you'll feel rumble, and you're like,
It
whoa,
supported it. Oh, that would have been cool to use the rumble pack during the robot fights.
yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I guess they didn't want people swapping out memory pack and rumble pack midway through the game. You know, like,
You could fuck it up.
yeah.
You know?
Do you guys have any favorite characters?
It'd be Sumaru. And the
Yeah,
plasma
Samaru's
guy.
really good.
He was really fun.
Fortune Teller is like my favorite one easily.
The
Yeah,
And
Fortune
as
Teller
far as
was
playable
great.
characters, it'd be Sumaru is my favorite.
Yeah. I like Yae a lot.
Yeah,
She's cool.
I liked Yae the best probably. Yae and Sasuke, I felt like they were the coolest. I felt like they really outshined Goemon himself. Like Ibusamaru was like funnier and he was more useful, and then Yae and Sasuke were just, better.
Yeah. I mean, Goemon's sort of like he's the default, right? Like he's
Yeah.
just like here's all the stuff that you're familiar with if you played the series before.
Yeah, I just wish they made him more useful. Like I was
Yeah.
thinking like how you have to travel a lot on the overworld in this game. And there's a lot of open spaces, so I was hoping like they would give one of the characters, some faster way of moving. Like
Give him
later
a bike.
Yeah,
I wanna see
something.
Goemon on a motorcycle.
Like
That would have been cool because they tried to give you the flute to make it so you can fast travel between towns.
yeah, and that's
But,
useful.
Oh boy, it is useful. But when you pick a town, you get ready to wait a good 30 seconds.
The animation
before-
is long. At first, I was like, "This is a really cool animation, seeing the dragon." On the 5th time, I was like, "The animation's still cool. Wish I could skip it. Just let me press the start button."
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that was kind of weird was that they don't label the areas of the map, so it's kind of hard to remember. Like,
Yeah.
I got lost a lot. Like, it was telling me, okay, go to this generic Japanese name area.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck. So it's
Well,
fucking-
if you summon the dragon, you could see the names of the towns.
No, yeah, you can see the names of towns, but not like the areas
Yeah.
you're supposed to go to, and you
Yeah.
don't know which areas, near which town. So you're like, ah, shit.
so I just wish they added like a little bit more notation on the map to give you a better sense of direction.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like at
I
least
can agree.
like have them separated like sections. So like in this section you have whatever castle, this Izumo, and then this other place. So like they're in this general area, so you have an
Yeah.
idea. That would have been nice.
But
And
all in
saved
all,
me, probably would have saved me a couple hours of looking.
yeah.
Couple hours.
Couple hours, Lord.
Oh, but all in all, I mean, I felt like the problems with this game were pretty few and far between. I felt like most of the game was really very solid and
Yeah.
fun. Fun. It feels good to play.
Yeah. Like, it didn't do anything better than any game that has come after or before it, right?
Well, I mean, it
but-
had more ambition than a lot of games, and I
It
feel like
definitely hit it.
and it feels like and I feel like it does a lot of things well within that, like the mech battles and
Yeah.
all the weird shit that you get into in the course of the game. And they give you a lot of options, with the multiple weapons and the different power-ups,
And like, I mean, this is how much credit you give to this can vary. But like, I was thinking the other day, I was like, what are like established franchises that like did well on their first 3D entry, and like Mario and Zelda are the two obvious ones, right?
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
but once you get there, like, there's a pretty big drop off. But I think the Goemon, like, it sticks the landing in a way that's like better than 90% of the things that came out around it, and while doing a bunch of cool new stuff, right? Like, I played the SNES one a little bit. This one, it's taking some elements, but it's also its own unique thing that I think is really cool. I mean, I think you mentioned the only thing, like, it doesn't do anything the best in its class, and I think that's semi-fair, but I think that the tone of it is really unique in a way that I think makes it sort of be able to stand on its own, because it is, the writing isn't always hilarious, but it's always, like, I'm always interested in it, what's going to happen, even if it doesn't always make me laugh, which actually it did a fair number of times.
Yeah, it made me laugh too, definitely.
Yeah, it had
Not
some
like it.
legitimately funny moments.
Yeah. What you said, it actually kind of reminded me of this. Now I can kind of make a comparison between this and Sonic Adventure a little bit. For Sonic's first 3D outing. Because with the different swappable characters, and it's very different. It's like they tried to borrow a lot from other established games that have done 3D in the past. I don't know. That's what it kind of reminds me of. Like Sonic's first foray into 3D, Sonic Adventure, is
But-
a little weird, but
Yeah. I mean, I said this as a
pretty
person that
solid.
likes Sonic Adventure. I think Goemon has probably aged better than Sonic Adventure has. Like, just overall.
probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
And I said liking Sonic Adventure.
I like Sonic Adventure as well,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's some glaring issues with that. Way more than there is with Goemon.
Yeah.
What you guys?
Goemon, I only fell through the terrain one time. Sonic Adventure, I don't have enough fingers. or
Every
toes to
level.
count.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the boss battles?
They were all very easy,
Yeah.
but not. They were
They
fun
were
enough.
unique though between each
Yeah.
other. Like
Yeah.
except for
They
the
were all
mech
in
battles, they were all very different.
Yeah. I mean, even the mech battles, like I really like the underwater one where like he would like, be just come swimming at you and you would like need to like look for him coming in the water to punch him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they could all probably be like a little bit shorter because they're not too hard, but you just sort of sometimes end up just like whacking on them for a while. Just you're like, all right, I figured it out. Let's get it over with. But
Yeah.
but overall, I like them a lot.
I felt like that's how the boss battles were going to go just from the get-go, from the first boss. The guy with the fire who just kind of spun
Yeah,
around.
it just takes fucking forever.
I was like,
to
okay,
kill.
this guy's taking a long time to kill. Like, I get it. He's not doing anything new, but this is taking a while. So I got it from the get-go. I was like, this is going to be how these boss battles are going to be. But there's still, none of them are hard, frustrating. Some of them are kind of creative. There's the one where you have to bounce the balls back, which is neat. In the final boss, so it's like a 2-stage. You have to fight a giant peach, and with just using the projectiles, the machine gun thing on the robot, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then going to the final battle where he just summons like fucking asteroids that just come flying at you that you have to punch away before you can get to them, which is pretty cool. And
goes full
my
Gundam.
emulator, my computer, it wasn't really the emulator's fault. My computer was dying during that.
Mine had like a major slowdown too. It was just like, but not nowhere near as bad as yours.
Yeah, I
did.
can't knock the game for it though. It's
No,
just
yeah.
N64 emulators are
Can be difficult.
surprisingly difficult. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the second dungeon was really interesting, and like that whole mechanic with the camera, and I liked how they carried that over into the boss. I thought that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was I think that was the one that I liked the most.
overall, like there wasn't really any times where I was getting frustrated or mad, which is I guess a good thing to say about this game.
Or really like overly bored, right? Like
That
there
too.
was always one or two things that were sort of engaging enough to keep my interest with all the various areas and dungeons and stuff.
Yeah, I always felt like energized to play the game. I never felt like it was a drag. So that was always good.
No. One thing, actually, Ills, I meant to bring this up, because I think you said it in your notes for the game. You mentioned that you kind of wish that they played a little bit differently
Yeah.
more than... But I actually surprisingly disagree with that, only because this came into my head during the last dungeon. Because in the last dungeon, you had to switch more than any other dungeon prior.
Yeah.
To use almost everybody's powers. And I would just stay as that character instead of having to be like, okay, I use their power, let me switch to the other guy because I don't like how this guy plays. Which I kind of liked that because it was just, okay, I'll switch to them to use their power, but I'm okay with playing as them because nobody is really that much better than anybody else. So
Well,
I kind of,
Ideally,
for that reason, I liked it.
No, I get that, and I agree that that's one of the benefits of having them all the same. But ideally, you would make each character feel good to play with. Diverse and still feel good to
But
play with them in their own way.
It always comes hard when you're doing that because some people are going to lean towards one or the other.
Yeah. I get that.
But I thought it was interesting though that you brought it up. That they do basically all play exactly the same. Like
I think
I mean, besides their abilities,
I still ended up playing as Ye like 90% of the time. Anyways.
I played as Sasuke most of the time because he has ranged attacks.
Yeah.
Good range attacks with the ice daggers. I like that.
Well, Ye has the bazooka too, so.
that bazooka's
Yeah, but
very
it's
good.
awkward to
bazooka
aim with
costs
that
money to
bazooka
use.
though.
It does cost you money.
And Goemon has the coins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had done it. There's a trick that basically, if you go back to like Oedo Castle, like the first dungeon, In the first room, there's like 120
6
coins,
pots.
and you can just go in, collect the coins, go out, go back in, and get another 120. So I just fucking stockpiled that shit.
Yeah, the game did not care. They were just like,
They're fine with
whatever.
it. Because the items that you get are like useful and they're like nice temporary things. Like there's the mochi ball, no, the rice balls, excuse me, that like are essentially fairies. Like when you get your health depleted, it'll stock you back up.
Yeah.
But there's no like
stuff like that.
and those are like, but those are temporary use stuff in general. So it's not like these like big permanent upgrades come from the money. So the economy being, a little weird is fine.
Yeah.
The economy
Didn't really matter.
The economy, the economy of the video game.
Wish Greece had that good of economy.
I don't think you do. That's a bad economy.
Inflation is very strong. All right.
So,
All right.
Does anybody have anything else that they really feel the need to cover or go over before we go into suggestions?
I guess the last thing was that none of the enemies were in the overworld were really challenging. Like they all took.
They made no
hits.
sense either.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Nope.
fine with it making no sense. That's
Yeah.
that's par with for the course with the game.
But like they each took like 2 hits or less.
Yeah,
One hit or 2 hits or less.
I mean I can see arguments either way because I think that if the enemies were like in the overworld when you're just sort of like exploring, were like constantly getting in your face and being really annoying, that could be frustrating in its own way. But I think there's probably a balance that could have stroke of just like not I don't like stricken. I don't know what the word would be. Struck. There you go. Thanks. Between just being fully trivial and like being overly annoying that they could have
we didn't even
balanced.
mention. I'm surprised we didn't mention this. I meant to. The enemies are just insane too.
They're wild.
So,
Yeah.
Jesus, I think Noah said it, and which made me laugh. When he first walked out into the first open area heading to Mount Fuji, he saw the little robot women.
Mm-hmm.
He just took a hit from one of them because he thought it was just an NPC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like I literally just walked out of town. I was like, oh, what is this thing? It was like a little girl, and she just walked up to me and bopped me. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the enemies range from like what is it,
Insane
like-
to insane. That's the
Yeah,
range.
you have sumo kites, like just kites that are sumo wrestlers flying around. You got, little girls that have birthday presents that are just shooting out bombs. You got
Scarecrows that shoot
sushi.
shit at you.
Yeah, crows, pieces of actual sushi jumping around.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? It's crazy. I think they're all supposed to be robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're all made by the bad guys.
If
And they all
not,
blow up when you hit them. They all go like,
They all blow up. Although I like how if you're using like Ye, she has a sword and it will cut
get
him
cut
in
in
half.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
actually
that's
chops
neat.
them. That's pretty
I loved.
cool.
There was a lot of little details, like when you're in the snow area, like they'll like shiver if you stand still for a while, and you're like, oh, like that's fun little like details that I like,
Wouldn't even notice that. That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think I got everything I wanted to talk about out of the way. So, gentlemen, it's time to find out if we recommend this game. Will, I'm going to start with you because you picked this game.
Yeah, I would recommend this game a whole lot. I was expecting you to have to give more caveats, but I think that really, if you were alive for the 3D, early 3D era, all the stuff in here won't be too bad in terms of the weird little things that's aged. And overall, it's a really unique game that I think most people would enjoy experiencing.
I agree. Noah.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. The only time I wouldn't is if the person doesn't like Japanese themed or culture. Then they'll be just left like going, "What the fuck am I doing? What is this game?" So yeah, that's the only time I wouldn't recommend it. Otherwise, definitely play it.
All right, Ilse.
Yeah, 100%. I would definitely recommend. The only things I would say is that I would give them the controls for the mech battles.
Yes.
Fair enough. But if you didn't have the controls, you would press all the buttons to figure out what to do. Am I right?
I guess.
Just for
I
the
mean,
record. Just for the record, you wouldn't just press 2 buttons and then think, "Oh, this is all I can do."
Eventually, yeah. you'd-
Eventually, yes.
Especially if you
Okay.
had friends, for example, talking about what the various buttons could do. There's no way you would just only do the 2 buttons.
Yes, especially when they specifically said what button to press too, and pinned it in a Discord.
What does this mean?
Chat.
What's
And
going on here?
especially if you
this a
wouldn't
sad
go
thing?
and look up a cheat on how to have the boss have no health. Just curious.
Oh boy.
Viewers have no idea what we're talking about.
It's
This
like
is
Saf-
For the record,
This is for
everybody,
one man.
Yes,
Saphir.
Staff cheated at this game. We're gonna make it public. We want it on record. Staff cheated. Okay, so
He's a nasty.
every game he plays from now on, just think in the back of your mind, he probably cheated.
just
But we
just
still
say the-
love him.
Just say the word cheater. Oh, just literally like cheater.
In the intro, you know how in Link's Awakening, if you steal something, everyone in the game calls you thief?
Yes.
From now on, until Saf rectifies this, we will all refer to him only as Cheater, not by his given name.
Let's just change his name to cheater in Discord.
in Discord. We love you, Saf.
We love you, Saf.
You're dirty,
Do we?
dirty cheater. I think. Did I say no?
No, you didn't.
I would totally recommend this game. I would say if you ever see it somewhere and you have an N64, maybe you're a retro game collector and you don't have this game, you ever see it somewhere for a decent price, pick it up for sure. That would probably be the best way to play it.
You know what you should do?
s-
You should recommend it
what's
to the
that?
person calling you right now.
That is.
I
Not.
would recommend it. I would recommend it to this person on the phone in the background.
I'm gonna pick up that phone.
I was hoping to mute it in the. I was hoping we could mute it in the edit, but it's been mentioned, so it has to be left in now. Ring, ring, ring.
There you go.
Good job.
There we go.
Less editing for me.
All right, there we go.
So yeah, if you see this game on the N64, pick it up, definitely. Or play it on the emulator if you want, but make sure you got a good computer because it's N64 emulation kind of can be choppy sometimes.
You need a
So
1080
careful.
Ti to play Goemon.
Get the most high-end computer to play this game. Trust me,
Mm-hmm.
you'll thank me for it.
I mean, I had high-end PC and just fucking struggled a little bit. But anyway.
So Will,
Yeah, dog.
you know what time it is?
I don't know. What time is it, Brandon?
It's time for the list.
List.
If you
Follow
don't
the
know what
paste
the
bin.
list is, yes, thank you very much. Follow in the paste bin below. There is a link down there. You can see the list in its entirety. It's just a growing list of games, and we rank them from top to bottom, best to worst.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we play a game here on the Game Club, we throw it on that list
Yeah, dog.
and say, you know, it's better than this, but it's worse than this. We're going to figure it out right now.
Right now.
We're going to start with Will, though, because you picked this game,
Mm-hmm.
my friend, so you get to say your first thoughts on where you think it deserves to be.
Okay, so we're going to mention briefly that Saf wanted it above Zack and Wiki, and we're going to disregard him.
Yes, please.
I'm feeling. I feel like it's in the like 35 to 40 area, generally, right? Sort of, I think, in that space. I'll put it maybe below Drill Dozer. Maybe, I don't know where I would put it, above or below Windback, but I feel like in that space is where I.
I'm with you.
That's pretty high. That's
I'm
pretty high
fucking-
praise.
I'm with
That
you.
is pretty high.
I am with it.
Above Winback?
I don't know about above Winback, but I'm
I'd
with
be
that
willing to put
general
it-
area.
I'd be willing to put it below Windback. I have yet to finish Windback, so I will defer a little bit to you guys on that one.
Maybe. I mean, this game didn't frustrate me like it did with Winback. I'll give it that.
Not Windback 2, keep in mind. Very different.
Well, clearly.
Yes. We talked about Windback 2 on the Game Club. That's much lower on
did.
the list.
Go check. Yes, check that episode out.
Yeah, I think that when I look at it, you know, these are all games that I like below it. They're all, I think, really strong. But I think that Goemon was, I mean, it was just really pleasant, I think is the word I would use from
Yeah.
beginning to end. In a way that, like, I think I felt similar ways just playing Drill Dozer and Elite Beat Agents. You know, I think that it sort of fits into with that group of games.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't played Drill Dozer or Elite Beat Agents, but I
I was looking at just under Luigi's Mansion personally, but
I mean, that's not too far off.
yeah, I mean that's fair too. I wanted it in the 30s because I felt like this, like when I thought about it, I felt like it had a good connection with Illusion of Gaia, like in my head.
Yeah. I think that Luigi's Mansion is good, but there's I don't know. Luigi's Mansion is good, but it's also a game that like I still sort of look at sometimes and like I will replay Luigi's Mansion, like, oh yeah, this is where the game ends. You know, like there's sometimes not, I feel like, a full exploration of all the ideas that you could get out of the vacuum in Luigi's Mansion. Not, I mean, obviously I still like it a whole lot, but I think that looking at Goemon, there were so many different things that it was doing sometimes with the minigames can be frustrating, but just really applying all these different powers in cool, interesting ways, both sometimes in the overworld, sometimes in the dungeons, in a way that I think is comparable to Drill Dozer's drill mechanic. I think that it's very similar in that way. And EBA has some moments in it where like your hand gets in the way, which sounds like a dumb problem, but like you'll miss beats because of the touchscreen and the way that it's formatted. So it's why, even though I love Elite Beat Agents, I would think to put Goemon above it.
That's pretty solid. I mean, I like the amount of
good.
Yeah, I like the amount of ambition that Goemon has, and it pulls it all off like pretty well. Even while go ahead. Sorry.
I would put it above Winback for the reason that when I think about Winback, although it is extremely solid and a lot of fun to play, I think near the end game, I don't want to ever think about it. You know, it's like a nightmare. The end game of that game is an absolute fucking nightmare, and this game doesn't have that in it. And I think
unless you're running it on an emulator, but yeah.
I think both of these games were kind of pushing the envelope, Winback and this game, a little bit.
That's fair.
But I think this game is
it's definitely
a little bit better.
I mean, it's a small difference, but like, yeah, I can see it being like above Winback easily.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I'm cool with that, if you guys want to put it there.
I am happy with that.
I'm happy with that, too. All right, so, let me look at the list. It's a lot of numbers here.
Yeah, number 38.
Getting overwhelmed. It's number 38.
Oh, damn.
That's going to put it below at number 36, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Number 37, Drill Dozer. Both of those games, by the way, Dragon Ball FighterZ and Drill Dozer, they are Game Club games, so stick around at the end of this episode, because I know you love us. But after that, go check those ones out. At number 38, now we're going to have Mystical Ninja, Shake It Fast, Watch Yourself, starring Goemon.
Okay.
All right, brother.
Number 39, number 39, sorry, Winback, Covert Operations. And number 40 now, Elite Beat Agents. Sorry, Will. Elite Beat Agents. Still in the top 50, though.
Hey, I mean, I did it too. I can't be too mad.
That's true.
I mean, again, up until like around 58, 59, these are all pretty solid games. Like
Very
really
solid,
good games.
solid
Then it
games.
starts getting mediocre. Then it starts getting bad, like in Hell.
Then it gets to hell.
The Hell. Check out Hell. It's very fun. It's underneath Donkey Konga. I don't put the Hell part on the list. We consider anything underneath Donkey Konga Hell.
Check out Hell. It's fun. It's a very good thing.
So thank you guys for joining. Before we go, got a couple of things we got to mention, including the fact that you can find us on all your social media platforms, whichever one you choose, unless it's like something weird like Google Plus or something.
Or
Nobody
MySpace.
uses that. Or MySpace. We're not on MySpace yet, but maybe Tom will give us some money, and we will be someday.
Answer our emails.
But in the meantime, also not on Tumblr because no porn is allowed there, and basically this is porn for your ears, and they wouldn't allow it.
We're not Hentai-Haven anymore?
We're not on Pornhub or Hentai. I didn't know. But we are on Facebook, on Instagram. We are, even more importantly, on Twitter, because that's where you'll see all the new episodes go up. I'm going to tweet them. I'm going to send out that tweet every single time a new episode gets posted. Turn on notifications. Also Facebook, too. I posted on there. So if you want to stay updated, check us out. Check us out on Instagram for random pictures and memes and all sorts of fun stuff. But we're also on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jump Up Supercast. I almost fucked that up every time, but this time I had to slow myself down. There, we play video games. We believe that or not. Sometimes Game Club games, but right now I am playing through Xenoblade Chronicles because that's one of the games I got assigned as a New Year's Revolution game. Which, if you're interested in that, just check out the normal Jump Up Supercast episodes, which get posted every single Monday on whatever your favorite podcatcher is, or SoundCloud, iTunes. Make sure you rate us 5 stars if you listen to us on iTunes, because cool guys do that. Now, before we leave, Ilse,
Yo,
my buddy, my pal, my friend,
what's up?
the only guy that I can trust besides Noah and Will.
Definitely not Saf.
It's your turn. So, what game are we going to be playing next in 2 weeks from now?
Next time we will be playing Sin and Punishment.
Oh, another
I've
Nintendo
heard
64.
so many things about this, and
Dang
I've
it.
never
The
actually
Wii
got to
Shop
play it.
channel's gonna die.
And I think that's the only thing that's officially available on
Yes.
North
Yep.
America.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could play the Japanese version if you really want to.
Yeah, you can't add money to the
Yeah.
to the shop anymore. So unless you got coins left over.
Oh, I already have
Actually,
it.
did they close it down?
Oh shit, I already
I don't
have
know.
the game.
The end of the
are gonna have
month
to play in
is where it
Japanese.
dies.
Oh, this
Well,
month?
can't add
Oh,
money.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
4
that
days.
thing is, I used
When
to have
you
the
hear
game
this,
when my
it's
Wii
dead.
died. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. And we're going to be playing Sin and Punishment on the Nintendo 64. 2 N64 games in a row.
Yeah.
So look forward to that. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Wills. Thank you, Noah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ilse.
Yeah.
Streak is still alive, baby.
Streak is still alive. Undertaker. Going down. WrestleMania season. Point at the sign. Thank you guys. Go play some video games. Go strip yourself to get a free meal. And have a great day.
Pardon?
Oh no.